A las 12.
All right. Hi, everybody. I can see that people are entering the room. We will wait just for 2 minutes before starting our presentation of today.
I'm here, Vivian, finally. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Sheila.
Thank you. Hey.
How are you?
Good. You look good.
Oh, yes. Well, I had the flu.
Oh, dear. Like everyone.
Well, I don't know if it's allergy. I hope it's allergy.
How was Mexico?
Fantastic. I hadn't been in Mexico for 50 years.
Wow.
So it's surprising. Very nice place.
Nice.
And the meeting was also interesting. Yeah, Lillian is coming.
Hi, Lika.
Norberto.
Yeah, he's from INIDEP, from Mar del Plata.
So you left your office there, huh? You don't have an
Yes.
office anymore. Ah.
No.
Mhm.
Shall we start, Vivian?
Yes. Yes, yes.
You have to say Vivian Lutz, otherwise I will answer.
Yeah, Vivian Lutz.
Vivian L and Vivian M. So, okay, now we can start. So, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to this new webinar of the Trevor Platt Science Foundation. As you know, the foundation is an international organization dedicated to capacity building in science, research, and education related to the oceans, working towards stewardship of our planet for future generations. Today's webinar is one of the capacity building activities of the foundation. And before introducing our distinguished speaker, a couple of instructions. As you notice, your microphones are off. Please write your questions on the Q&A box, not in the chat, and we'll get to them after the talk. So now, yes, it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague from Chile, Dr. Vivian Montecino. She's a senior professor at the Department of Ecological Sciences at the University of Chile. She has received numerous Chilean and international scholarships and awards throughout her long career in marine sciences. She held multiple positions at the University of Chile, directed many thesis works, and also served as an executive director for the Institute for the Promotion of Fisheries. She has taken part in numerous research cruises conducted mainly in the southeastern Pacific, but also in the Baltic and in Antarctica. Her expertise is in phytoplankton, primary production, and biooptics, but includes overviews on the dynamics and fisheries of the Humboldt current system. And Vivian will talk to us about a book with two women in an ocean of stories in the southeastern Pacific coast. Vivian, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I will share my screen now. So, okay. So good morning. Good afternoon to everyone. Here it's midday. It's a pleasure for me to have this talk and to be able to tell you about my book. And here is the book. I have it on my side. And this is a long story of 5 years of work. The beginning of this work really started when I think I have the idea that it started when I read the book of Eric Mills many years ago, and it inspired me because it was so entertaining to be read, and also the book of Ramon Margalef about marine ecology written in Spanish. That was one of my foundational books for my work. The second edition of Eric Mills came later, and there is another book in Spanish about the development of oceanography in Chile, written by Helmut Sievers in 2018. And the importance of all this is that our book is really the first book written in Spanish about marine sciences. So that's one of the things I wanted to let you know. So Spanish is the language, as a language for science, was the motto at the international meeting in Mexico, where the first time our book was presented. I don't know if you can see the presentation, okay? Just to check.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the book, with two women in an ocean of stories in the southeastern Pacific coast, was written by myself and Doris Oliva from Universidad de Valparaíso. As I was telling you, this took us like 5 years working in mostly using the internet and the Zoom meetings. No? The Southeast Pacific oceanography in the last 60 years is what I'm going to talk about, and I just want to show you which is the area where this all is happening. No, in South America, this is South America. This is Chile, a very long stripe and narrow country, and Peru, and then Ecuador, Colombia, and Central America. And in this area where I will be telling the story, there are three surface currents. The Humboldt current that comes here and goes up, the South Pacific current that goes reaches the coast around Puerto Montt, Concepcion, and the Cape Horn current that then goes down. So these are the three main features that we recognize in the Humboldt current system or in the surface currents of Chile and Peru. It's interesting that we had to go looking where all this started. And all this started, I think, that was the meeting of the worlds in 1492 with the voyage of Columbus. There are other explorers that were also in these expeditions, like Martín Pinzón in 1492, and then Vasco Núñez de Balboa that really called years later the Southern Ocean, and Hernando de Magallanes that gave the name in 201, I think, called it the Pacific Ocean. At that time, there was a large indigenous diversity in the Southeast Pacific. Many of them were located at the coast, like the Changos, the people in the island of Rapa Nui, the Mapuche people, and then in the interior sea of Chiloé, the Cuncos and the Chonos, and then in the southern tip, the Cahuéscar and the Selknam people in Tierra del Fuego. If you see the next slide here, these are the headquarters of the Fisheries Institute, IFOP. You can see that in the same distribution, as we find here, there are many of these bases where people are doing research and giving advice for fishery promotion and exploitation. In this area, in the area of the interior sea of Chiloé, there is the base of the aquaculture group and the program in marine harmful algal blooms. I forgot to tell you that there were also indigenous populations in the Andes mountain range, from Aymaras, Atacameños, Picunches, and Huilliches, and there were trades between the coast and the mountain range between these people, and this has been also, we show that also in our book. I will do now a short timeline, a synthetic timeline of what happened during all these periods, that sometimes we are separated them in centuries and other times in decades. So we start with the native people in the pre-Columbian era, and then we go to the next century, where the pirates and explorers were in the ocean, visited our country, our territories. And then the next century, we have the first naturalists. One of them was a Chilean one, an abbé, Ignacio Molina, and the other one was a French professor, Claude Gay, that started to do all the inventory of the fauna and the flora in territory. And I also point here the presence of Humboldt and Darwin in America. Then in the first phase that we recognize here, this is our flag, and we call it, in the 19th century, we will talk about local science. So there is the first journal, the first institution for marine services, for waves, for tides, for climate, for the hour, and the first maps and cartography done by hydrographers. The professionalization, we put it, the start of professionalization, we put it with the creation of the Montemar station near Valparaíso from Universidad de Chile. This is the building you can see below, and it's a very nice place located by rocks and a small bay. The starting of undergraduate program, the building of zoological centers, and this coincided with the International Geophysical Year. Also, SCORE was starting at that time. Contemporary marine science. The first marine biologist was graduated in 1960. So we believe that that's not very long ago. In 1973, there is a big broke because of the military coup. This military coup was produced interventions in the university, and many people, many colleagues had to go to exile during these times. At the same time, we got the first female PhD. We have a new program for financing science that is Fondesit, and other programs that started at other universities. In 1989, we returned to democracy, and the programs that finance science flourished, and we had a fishery law. We got the research vessel Ave Molina, and another one called Vidal Gormaz from the Navy. So the activities increased at that time. In 2000, there was a call for the creation of centers of excellence, and at that time, many people came together between universities, so they had the force to have these centers of excellence, and this was very an enrichment to science in the whole country. In 2010, the other centers financed by a Millennium Program, and they were like centers and nuclei, different kind of project, incorporated social science. So that's why we say there's this phase number 10 is the start of trying to coexist with the ocean, so we could incorporate many of the demands of the people to the problems that we had to tackle in science. Finally, the last phase is when the Ministry of Science, Technology, Knowledge and Innovation was created. And so the National Research and Development Agency, ANI, had more income and more organization. Now, two persons, two iconic persons I want to introduce you now.
Excuse me, Vivian, is there a sound coming with this video? Because I don't think we cannot hear it.
Yeah, the sound is not coming, but
If there is a
what?
sound or if
Yeah, I know, Lika, there is a sound, but unfortunately it's not coming up. So.
yes, but we can change it if needed to come the
Yeah,
sound.
it's finished now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I can send the presentation later to add it. So after the visit of Darwin and the measurement of the current by Humboldt that was never in Chile, Chilean scientists are exploring knowledge. And I have to mention Vidal Gormaz again, that he was a national hydrographer, and he made all the maps and cartography for the fjords on the channel in Chile. And the station that I mentioned before, the Montemar station by Universidad de Chile in 1946, and the arrival of the ship that was built in Japan, the Ave Molina research ship in 1991. Another important organization I have to mention is the Comisión Permanente del Pacífico Sur, CPPS, that was founded in 1952 by Chile, Ecuador, and Peru through the Santiago Declaration, and Colombia joined in 1979. This intergovernmental organization was a maritime alliance in the Southeast Pacific and had many important goals and projections. So they wanted to establish the presence in the region in the Pacific Basin. So the CPPS worked mainly in problems related to El Niño and has done many regional cruises between all the countries. And this is one example of the report in 2005 about surface temperature that were measured simultaneously at different places. In terms of where do we start with our PhD students, we have to think that we had two schools, one in Kiel in Germany and the other one in England, in Plymouth, and that was the start of biological oceanography. And then many of them moved to North America first, to Canada and to the US, and then Chileans, mostly when we did our search, our screening of several of Chileans that went to obtain their PhD abroad, they were mainly studying in Germany. So this is a time around the 70s and 80s where people started to go abroad to get their PhD. There was later they went to have their PhD in Canada and in the US, and then also in the California area or in the Oregon area of the US. These people then came to Chile back and worked here and were able to establish their postgraduate studies in Chile. Which were the women that paved the way in Chilean marine biology? Well, the first marine biologist was Silvia Soto in 1960. Then Regina Cubillos was one of the teachers at this Montemar station since 51. Lucia Rao since 58. Elda Faghetti, that obtained her PhD in Italy in 54. Maria Teresa Lopez and Esther Naveas in 1960. So we highlight these many women that we think that were pioneers in marine science and oceanography between 1944 and 1980, that we think they have vanished like aerosols, but we return them their names striking and splashing the rock along our coasts. So it's always good to have some poetry aside of science. The military coup in Chile. Many science emigrated, as I told you before. And this is a picture of three of them that were working in Ensenada in Mexico, that were visited in 78 by Patricio Bernal here on the left and Eduardo Tarifeño on the right, that were students at that time, one in Scripps and the other one in the California University. Very soon after, in 1990, there was an organization that it's called the Inter-American Institute for Global Change Research, IAI. So this organization was carrying out international cooperation, was established to carry out international cooperation, dissemination of science, and capacity building, as well as the full and open exchange of scientific information relevant to global change to realize the vision of a sustainable American continent. We had the first meeting in Uruguay in 93, where we presented the first results of the Jacobs project. And here is also Jose Estuardo, who was a member of SCORE, and myself with other colleagues. Then in 1996, we made also financed by IAI, a large workshop on comparative studies on oceanic and coastal processes in temperate zones of the Eastern Pacific. And later in 2000, the meeting was held in Costa Rica as a consortium to study global change. It's interesting to show here that North America and South America have this similarity, this like a mirror current, no? The California current going from north to south, and the Humboldt current going from south to north, that had similar problems. So between Canada, the US, Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile. And this was a very interesting initiative and very ambitious one. Now we come to people we know. So this is in 97, an international course on remote sensing that we organized together with Osvaldo Ulloa in Chile, with the presence of distinguished professors like Trevor Shuba, David Halper, and Ted Stroop, who came and taught about remote sensing in the ocean. So after the return to democracy, efforts were done to train professionals capable of advancing science and education for ocean governance, promoting evidence-based policies and greater public awareness. In the 90s, also, women joined through the JAGOS project scientific expedition. Here is a picture of myself and Jimita Pizarro, Carmen Morales, who many of you may know, Barbara Jacob, Karina Lange, Sarah Searson, and Doris Oliva, my colleague, co-author in the book. During that time, we had the opportunity to deploy sediment traps, and we were able to have two moorings, and one was a deep mooring, Oceamos, that was 3 meters depth at the latitude of 30 degrees south. This was a ship that we were able to work with to settle this instrument in the water, and to came later to collect the samples after 1 year, I think. So in 30 years, we were able to work in several platforms. We had finance projects that were large projects that were financed. We were able to study the large oxygen minimum zone. Buoys were also financed and installed, and the deep trench much later in 2018 and 2022 was also explored, first by a remote vehicle and then by a vehicle that had the 2 persons in the vehicle. One of them was Osvaldo Ulloa. So at the same time, there is a coastal marine station in charge of the Catholic University that also has now 40 years of existence, paving the road of the development of marine science in Chile, but mainly at the coast or very coastal processes that they have also a platform to study there. So in the book, we give special attention to the teachers, to the masters, to our masters. So we recognize that outstanding masters were able to awake our hearts in all disciplines, and they stood out for their bright personality, their simplicity, and their imposed their presence and magnetism to us. The masters are drivers, are guides to help to see the problems and to find the explanation. They were mostly men, but contributed to us being creative and witty. You couldn't live without thinking. That was one of the lessons that we got from them. So this book has its roots in education in natural history as a fundamental substrate, experience in the field, knowledge in permanent change and evolution. Also, the women is part of our chapters, important chapters, in important research. We paid special attention to the presence of women. So we, as protagonists of the book, is a treasure about our life at sea. A work assessed. The book is a work that was assessed during 5 years of creativity, research, analysis of information, and testimonies from our peers, also many women. We intend to show the rights of those women who have created science with an urgent call and inspiration to join the wonderful experience contributing to the scientific world so long dominated by male, and to participate in the future development of marine science. That's very important. I think that we naturalist women are beings immersed in a mysterious world that is something invisible, and we arm ourselves from ignorance, enchanting, static learning, taking fresh air, and enjoying the effort. These are the new centers in Chile that changed the orientation of research, many of them. There is the first one here, the Center of Climate and Resilience Research, CR2, INCAR, that is in the Interdisciplinary Center for Aquaculture Research, the Institute Millennium of Oceanography, MUSCLES, that is the Center for the Study of Multiple Drivers of Socio-Ecological Marine Systems, and the group of IDEAL, that is a research center in the dynamics of high-latitude marine ecosystems. The other ones I cannot read here, but you will have it in the recording. So all these centers are working with new and young people and are making to the country a maritime consciousness or awareness that the ocean is important for the Chileans. Further on, we have to go internationally, and we have to go to see the goals of United Nations, and we have to look for not only national strengthening, but also international collaboration for the marine sciences. We include here the diversity and inclusivity, the public engagement, the international collaboration, as I said, the innovation strategy, multi-sectoral partnership, and the performance indicators that we can get through the Sustainable Goals number 14 related to life below the water that will help our ocean governance, science and education, inclusive participation, fisheries co-management, and coexist with the ocean, hopefully. Our request at the end of the book, caring for the sea, is based and promoted through science. So emerging needs, like, for example, seismicity, the occurrence of tsunamis, the problems and innovation in aquaculture, the warming and the acidification of the ocean are all problems that need to be tackled in a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary way. So the Sustainable Development Goals are based on the success of the Millennium Development Goals and aim to go beyond the ending of all forms of poverty. So these new goals are unique and require actions from all countries, poor, rich, and middle income, to promote prosperity while protecting our planet. So it is important that we can recognize that the ending of poverty must go hand in hand with strategies that build economic growth and address a range of social needs such as education, as I said before, health, social protection, and employment opportunities. I have to acknowledge at this point all the institutions that help us in writing the book. This is the Institute of Ecology and Biodiversity that gave me the first financing for starting editing the book. Then IFOP, the Institute of Research of Fisheries, helped in the publication. Also, both universities, Universidad de Valparaíso and Universidad de Chile, through several centers and faculties and departments, like my department, and programs at the national level, like a gender program and Science 2030, that are associated with the national agency. So caring for the sea and the sea behind us, the cover of the book that you can see here, called Dos Mujeres en un Océano de Historias y un Mar de Cambios, show us, Doris and myself, immersed in the sea, but our backs turned. And the question is, why we have been so slow to see it in the face? Why? Is it because we were guardians of terrestrial territories, or we have fear of immensity? So along the book, we illustrate that we were able to find out how the consolidation of the Chilean marine sciences was accomplished in this last 60 to 70 years. Can you hear that?
No.
No,
I
Vivian, the
stop?
sound is
You know the menu that appears on the top of your
Yeah,
screen
there?
when you
Yeah.
there is an option there for you to activate sharing sound.
A ver, ¿dónde?
Let me see, let me just Google to see exactly where.
Trato de hacerlo yo. May I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
share?
Yeah.
In Two Women in an Ocean of Stories and a Sea of Change, the
Okay
ocean
now?
is a
Yes,
mirror
it's
and
working. Thank you.
a score where waves of knowledge, currents of questions, and whirlpools of human encounters trace the history of Chilean oceanography. Vivian Montecino and Doris Oliva emerge as navigators of science who map plankton, red tides, and El Nino events amid expeditions, laboratories, and policy. The narrative turns testimonies and anecdotes into shells that hold the laughter on deck, the chill of dawn, and the wonder at nets overflowing with life. The book is also a hymn to the role of women in building scientific knowledge and an invitation to an interdisciplinary, ethical perspective in the face of climate change. Memory, education, and community converse with science to propose shared care and decision-making. When its pages close, one is left with the feeling of having sailed through a story that calls us to listen to the waves and respond with wisdom and tenderness. AGV.
So AGV is Alejandra. That was so nice to be putting the voice during the presentation. Thank you, Alejandra. No. What? Yeah. So Alejandra, thank you very much for helping me in doing this presentation and writing all these nice words for us. And finally, I have to say that books are written only to above our breasts to unite human beings and thus defend us against the inexorable opposite of all existence, transiency and forgetfulness. Is on the words of Stefan Zweig long time ago. Thank you very much to all of you for listening to me, and thank you to Vivian for organizing this with all the other people of the Trevor Platt Science Foundation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you a lot for this very interesting and entertaining presentation. And let's check if we have some questions. Okay. There are no questions yet in the Q&A box, but I want really to congratulate you for this incredible work because as you show us in the presentation and you show me before the book, it's a very thick book, but very complete with historic information. And I would say history and stories, both sides are important. And so thank you a lot again for agreeing to give this webinar. And here we have a comment from Anne-Catherine Lescraubet. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. And it says, thank you, Vivian. Have you seen the role and contribution of IFOP change over the last decades, 60 years, and how?
Oh, well, I was the executive director in 2006, and my role at that time was to recover in IFOP some interest for really improving science, and that's what I did during that time. But after I left IFOP, I haven't been following very much how that has been going on. So I hope that they are still doing the best that they can with research. This is the to give advice to the country about fisheries the trying to conserve the resources, to have resources for the future, not to. Many of the fisheries are collapsed, so they have improved their research capacity, I think, in this century a lot, to do research, to be based on research.
Vivian, looks
Thank
Lika has a hand up.
It's okay. There's actually a comment before my hand on the chat from Alejandra.
Yeah.
Okay, so since it's a quick question, Vivian, first of all, thank you so much for the introduction of this book. I look forward to read it. I hope I can find it here to buy it. And I was just wondering, how was the process of literature review? Was it how long it took you and your Dora to
Doris.
collect the information, and was it difficult because of the military during the military period? At least in Brazil, a lot of literature disappeared during that time. So I was wondering if in Chile was a similar situation.
No, we were able to keep our records, our papers, and in the case of the book, I had all the papers for 50 years of collecting them. So everything was in my office, and really the start of the book was because I had to give up the space of my lab to the faculty. I had to give it away. So I had to take all these books and all these papers from my room. And so that was the moment when I decided to start writing a book about my life in the ocean. So that took about 2 years, more or less. But every time new questions arose. And with Doris Oliva, we tried to answer many of those questions during the writing. And so we started with 100 pages and we ended up with 600 pages. So the work was 6 times bigger than at the beginning. And it was very helpful during COVID because we were at home and I had everything in my house already. So I was able to check my papers and my books, and so it was nice because I had a lot of work to do, and we met with Doris once a week or twice a week to talk about the book, and we shared the new tables, the numbers, the surprises, the serendipity. Many things were appearing, like flowers. It was very, very nice. It was also very coincident that we too are women, are the first women that we have like organized meetings in Chile, that we have the prize in marine science in Chile. So it's coincidence that we didn't know, that we discovered by writing the book. So this is very good for the heart.
Shuba, you want to say something?
I will, but like Lika showed Alejandra as a question that we haven't addressed.
Let me see.
It's in the chat.
Okay, sorry, in the chat. Yes, it says in your book, Dos Mujeres en un Mar de Océanos, you share powerful experiences. Looking ahead, what are your dreams or aspirations for the future of marine sciences in Chile, both in terms of scientific advancement and societal impact?
I have to drink a little bit of water before
You have all the money that you want.
think basic science is the paving. So the interest of the researchers in doing something, that's the most important thing that you need. And you have to inspire those new scientists to think ahead of the problems that are already being solved by the masters or by the colleagues. I don't know. And so that's one point. The other one, I think, is money. I think money is very important in marine science, and platforms are expensive, buoys are expensive, etc. All of us, we know all that, and I think the time has come that private organizations or business people or fishery people, or they should finance science. They should put money into this research, and we should promote that at different levels, at the ministry level, at the basic level in the regions. We should invite entrepreneurs to the ocean, because the ocean is the solution for humanity and climate change, and we have to make a lot of outreach with this statement, no? Because there are still people that don't believe that we are having a climate change. I think that's one key point. So what else was the question of Alejandro? Did I answer? Oh.
I think so, because the last part was about societal impact, and that's what you were just mentioning. So
yeah,
I
poverty,
think
poverty. I think poverty to improve that poverty is reduced, especially people that live from the ocean.
yes, I think that I always had this impression, and you confirm it with your book, that Chile, although you said that they didn't look too much, it's very much a maritime country, much more than Argentina, for example. So I think that's a big impact, a big societal impact. So any more comments or questions?
Can I say something now? I just wanted
Sure,
to
please.
I wanted to add, Vivian Montecino now, you are a pioneer for Chile, but you were also one of the pioneers of oceanography in the Indian Ocean.
Oh yes, yes. I found out the other day. I told you.
Yes.
I had forgotten completely when I was in Kiel. No, I told you that my last period after all the important courses, I in the lab of Professor Craig, opportunity to take some of the measurements of the Indian Ocean in the 70s.
Yeah.
So that was my publication, and that book was an entry to work at the university, in my university, because there were difficult times during the coup, and this book solved my academic life.
Yeah, Cray was one of the editors, I think, of that first book about Indian Ocean biology, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So the entire Indian oceanography began with that, with the International Indian Ocean Expedition.
That was financed by the Germans, no?
Not only Germans, I think.
I have the book
people like
somewhere.
Carl Banse was very influential.
Oh,
So
yeah. But
that
he
German
was
connection.
in the US, yeah, but he came from Germany originally.
Now I may get confused, but I thought he came to India before. His Indian connection dates prior to his US connection, I think. I may be wrong, but it goes back a long ways.
Yeah, but you're right that I am a pioneer, because I knew Carl Banse and Johannes Krey, but they're all dead now.
Yes. Very interesting. I wanted to ask if there's any plan to translate the book into English.
I cannot say now, but I will write an essay in English. I was asked to write
see the
this.
book. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's smaller thing.
a smaller.
It's a smaller thing. I wanted to ask something to Alejandra because it's a pity that the two audio were not listening. Listen, Alejandra or Vivian, could we repeat those two slides to listen to the audios that were not able to show during my presentation? Can we do that because we have time? 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have a few minutes. I don't know if Alejandra, who seems to have the presentation as well, if she can do it.
Yes. Can you see my?
Yes. Yes.
No, it's not sound.
No, not sound.
No.
I am Charles Darwin, an
Now it's
English
working.
naturalist and explorer, and my contribution to
it.
science has been the development of the theory of evolution through natural selection. I am also considered to have been the first ecologist. I participated in the second expedition of the HMS Beagle in 1831. In my book, The Voyage of a Naturalist Around the World, I refer to the places I visited in Chile. The ideas of Alexander von Humboldt were my source of inspiration and drove me as a naturalist. He had already spoken about the changing state of nature. That is why he is said to have been a pre-Darwinian.
Thank you, Alejandra.
I am Alexander von Humboldt. I was born in Germany in 1769 and left this world in 1859 in Berlin. I was an adventurer from a very young age. My mother provided my brother and me with the best possible education in Prussia during the Age of Enlightenment. When my mother died, we inherited a significant fortune. I retired from the Ministry of Mines and announced my great journey to explore the world. On my journey to America, in the heights of the Andes, I developed a vision of nature, of the cosmos, and of the web of life. I wanted to explore the world, collect and take measurements, make astronomical observations, but due to wars, it took me a long time to find a destination. I was already aware of the existence of a cold current in the Southeast Pacific that no one had yet identified, and I was the first in 1802. That is why it bears my name, the Humboldt Current.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now we have the complete vision. Let me check here. Anne-Catherine Lescrawet says, thank you for sharing these insights. So, okay, if there are no more. Nandini, please.
Before closing, let me ask you a question, Vivian. You have said about men as great teachers and guides, and they always inspired you so that you couldn't live without thinking. How have women mentors played similar roles in awakening minds and hearts?
How? What? I didn't
How
understand.
have women as mentors?
Me?
For example, you yourself.
No.
How have you?
Myself as a mentor. Well, I didn't have so many students, but I think at least 5 of them I still have contact. I still visit them in all the places where they are working, and we are friends. Today we are friends. That's very nice. I'm very proud.
Nandini, yes, that's a good legacy from your part. But I think Nandini was asking you if you had yourself some women as mentor.
No,
I guess no. That was the time that you are one of the first ones. So
well, that was a discovery during writing the book, because I was the first one in a ship. I was the first one here and there. So it was a discovery. It was not meant to be like that.
Yeah.
So that means I am very old.
No. It means that you helped to pave the road for the women that came now, and now,
Yeah,
as you say,
and also my co-author Doris Oliva also. She's
yeah,
like another generation, but she also has been working a lot in creating a more participative inclusion type of science.
Yes, it's true that we are at the.
What is mean here? A trailblazer? What is that? A trailblazer?
A trailblazer, the person that starts everything. It's the first one to go on a certain path.
Creates a new path.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
You started first.
It's true that in these few years that we have of difference with Vivian Montecino, but at the time I was studying here, also I didn't have many women mentor. My first and important woman mentor is Shuba. So it's true that the two of you are at the beginning of the road for many other women scientists in marine sciences. So it's a pleasure to have you both here.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
So time is
yes, time is getting out. So I'm sure we'll have more time to talk about this probably in the next Trevor Platt symposium. So
Yeah. There's a suggestion that we should have a discussion session on women in oceanography. So
yes,
hopefully we will work around that. But I just want to say something. Vivian, you say I am a mentor to you, for example. Mentoring is a two-way street. When you get good students, you also learn. So it's not just one way. Gives you both sides a lot of joy, I think, when it works.
I will write that down. I will put it in my head.
That's a very generous point of view. Yes. So I think the time is now coming to the end of the transmission, but thank you again, Vivian, for this lovely presentation. And let me tell you that we have the next webinar of our series coming in November the 20th by Sama. So you will receive the announcement soon. So thanks again. And Vivian, I hope to see you soon.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
You,
thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you, Patricia and the Earth Center for the transmission.
Yes, many thanks to Earth Center.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a great session.
Okay, thanks, Patricia. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you soon.
It's difficult to see who are listening through the YouTube. You only
Sorry?